I walked away from the grind, the stress, the constant pressure of building something that was slowly draining me, and I have zero regrets. We live in a society that no matter what a woman decides, she may be wrong depending on the circle she's in. If she decides to have a very forward moving career, she may be blamed for that. And if she decides to stay home and raise her children and become a full time homemaker, she may be blamed for that. That's just the way society is. I want to expand the conversation away from what women should do into what will make her completely happy. A lot of women have decided that the corporate area will be her fulfilling force of who she is, and that will be where she is fulfilled. That's where she wants to be. But there are some of you out there that actually want to kind of explore what's it like to be a full-time homemaker. What does that look like? And how do you get that life? What does that look like? And do you have to walk away from who you are as a woman because you've worked hard for your education and your career? But you also want peace, you also want family presence, and you want a home life that doesn't feel intentional. That does feel intentional. And you do not want to feel trapped or dependent or judged. And you've reached a point where you're tired of performing at a high level everywhere you go. You have people depending on you. You have people asking for you. They need your talents. You have spaces that need your talents, companies that need your talents, family that needs your talents. And now you sit back and you wonder, okay, now what? What does that look like? And what is true power? Because power can equal peace. And we're going to have a conversation about what that looks like when peace is actually at home. Let's go. Welcome everybody to the Inner Beauty TV. I am your host, Nicole Michelle, founder and feminine wife, prep, mentor, and strategist for the Inner Beauty TV. We are all about helping women reconnect with their power, their core, their essence, while also simplifying the pathway to marriage. So we will be counterculture over here, and a lot of people will raise their eyebrows by our content, but we don't. We address the pink elephant in the room. We address what's really happening with women out here and how we can find our way back to ourselves, our way back to God, and way back to our families that we so desire. Women over here want to be married. So if that sounds like something you'd be interested in, you would like to listen to more conversations like this, definitely give us a like, a follow, and a subscribe. We'd love to see your lovely faces. And for those of you joining me on the live, I have something special for you in the pinned link. You can go ahead and check those out. For the very first time since we've started the Future Wives Club, there is no prerequisite to get in, and that offer will leave the table at the end of this live. So if you'd like more VIP offers, this is VIP day for my live streamers, but if you'd like more VIP offers and additional ways to work with us, definitely join our Feminine Elite newsletter that comes out. And I promise you I won't spam you, and I don't send a bunch of sales letters all the time. I am going to communicate with you, and if preparing to be a wife and working on your femininity and enjoying being a woman is something you like to read about, definitely join our newsletter. We'd love to see you there. Shout out to everybody joining me on the live and all my mods. Pay attention, you all. Those of you that have mod badges, I want to make sure you all are monitoring the chat because I can always get to everything. I want to make sure the ladies in my spaces feel very, very safe. After the lives go away, I get rid of the chat because I want you all to speak candidly back and forth with me. I don't like to talk to myself. Even though I'm talking to myself, I don't like to talk to myself. I like to communicate back and forth with you ladies. Also, for those of you joining me on the rebroadcast, look at the top comment. I want to hear from you. Don't be shy. And for those of you that have wanted to work with me one on one, that is fine. Go to theinnerbeautymovement.org and we have the Ruth Collective. I love being your Naomi, your mentor in love or your advisor in love, like Naomi guided Ruth. Very, very discreet container where we can speak candidly face to face, you and I, and get to the bottom of what's happening. Let's clear the road so that you can see marriage in your very near future. Shout out to the ladies that have reached out to me. Go ahead and go to the Inner Beauty Movement and pick the container that works for you, and let's get started. Summertime, I'm kind of laid back. Although I don't do a lot of traveling in the summertime, I don't like to travel in the summer, but I am kind of laid back. But I do spend a whole lot of time with my clients during the summer, and I don't mind that. If you don't mind it, I don't either. And we sign NDAs so that everything that you share with me is confidential. Not even my husband knows what's in my coaching containers. I'm in my office, I'm in my space, and nobody's hearing my calls, and nothing's going on between. It's just you and me. So if you are looking for that space where you can finally get the answers and cut your single time down, this is the place. I've worked with very, very successful women, all walks of life and backgrounds, and I'm proud of that. And my success speaks for it in terms of women that I've worked with, and they have become wives. And to our topic today, a lot of those women that I've worked with have become women that have left the corporate sector and they are now full-time homemakers. That's what we do here, and they know I'm known and trusted for being a full-time homemaker. As someone that has left the corporate sector and has become a full-time homemaker, I am no way, shape, or form saying I'm rich and I'm just sitting on money and I'm just rolling with dough. I'm just a regular American housewife, if that's what you want to say. We're not poor, like hand to mouth, like poor, but we are not super, super rich. And so I want to dispel all those myths. We're not doing fantasy today. I'm going to share with you some of the things that I knew going in about being a housewife, and also what I've learned in these few years being remarried and walking into that. And people will say, well, why did you do it as an older woman? Because as you will know, there are some women that are just not cut out for corporate sector. Everybody is not cut out to be a corporate baddie. Okay, I call the ladies the corporate baddies. I was not cut out to be a corporate baddie. That's just not my bag. And for Generation Xers, I hate to bring this up again, but Generation Xers, that just wasn't something that they pushed. For a lot of sectors in society, a lot of factions in society, the late 60s and 70s and 80s, they pushed college education. For a lot of families, that was their first generation of college educated people, an opportunity to enter universities without it being cultural static and cultural pushback. A lot of people were welcomed on campuses, and they were allotted an opportunity to obtain an education. And for a lot of Generation Xers, even though we might have been raised traditionally, we were pushed to get an education. And somewhere in there, we're supposed to meet a husband, settle down, and have children. Somewhere in there. So for women like me, it was kind of bifurcated a little bit. It was, you get married and you have children, and in that order, but you go to college first. And maybe if it doesn't happen for you as soon, you go out into the private sector and you go and you get a job and you work that job, or you start your career, and then once you get a career you can still get married. And for a lot of Generation Xers, being a full-time homemaker was never really pushed. It was talked about, because we saw residuals of it left over from the boomers, and we saw it on TV. But Generation Xers were pushed and pushed and pushed to go to school and get an education and jump into the career sector. So I don't blame myself for following that formula, because I don't know of too many families that taught us differently. Although I did have traditional women in my family, I had cousins my age that were full-time homemakers, and I had my grandmother, who's a grandmother, great grandmother. I mean, they're all over my family, so it's in my blood to be a full-time homemaker. But it was also pushed that we go to college and and even the women that may have taken a detour, even later in life, they still went back to school and got an education. That was just part of society and where things were going, because the mentality behind that was two educated people will get together and they will be solidly middle class because they will have access to jobs, and they'll be able to afford the house and the picket fence and the children. And that was the idea behind it, at least for Generation Xers, and for some older millennials you could probably testify to this too. But the landscape of American socioeconomics, it has changed, especially after Reaganomics and going into the Clinton era. It depends on what sector you were in, what section you were in. Economically, it could have benefited you. A lot of people saw some economic gains during the Clinton era, but we also had some setbacks. Come the early 2000s, we saw the decline of the growth of the middle class, and that's where a lot of Generation Xers saw themselves. And now they're having to pivot, and you will be hard pressed to find a Generation Xer that hasn't even been to school, have a degree, or more than one degree, or a professional certification in something, maybe HVAC or plumbing or something. It was always pushed to us that we get something, because get in that middle class, get in that middle class. And if you were already in the middle class, then you go to the upper class. It's pushed, it's pushed, it's pushed. If you're in the middle class, you're going to go to the upper. It was always pushed in us that don't be happy with where you start, always push to go higher. So you're going to see more of a push to move up. Why am I saying all this? I'm saying this because somewhere in there, a lot of women did not get the lessons about, or even the option. They were not exposed to the option of possibly being a full-time homemaker. And you can say housewife, you can say domestic CEO. That's what I call them in the Future Wives Club. We're talking about domestically stepping up our game and things like that, which we'll talk about a little bit later. But so you can name it whatever. I just say full-time homemaker, just whatever. And we just didn't really talk about that. We saw it on TV as something of a relic of the past that was 50s sort of Levittown type of living. And do your research on Levittown, y'all. And we just excuse me, associated being a full-time homemaker with that type of lifestyle. It didn't apply to every woman. It was only for a certain sector, and it's not for everyone in society. But I raised the argument that it's for women who it's for families, and for women who not just tired of working in corporate America, because that's the narrative that's pushed across social media, is that women that want to return to full-time homemaking are just tired of working. And I am not going to run away from that. There are some women that are feminist at heart. They have they don't look at men as allies. They look at men as I will say they don't look at men as allies, and I'll talk more about that down the road a little bit. And so they don't find this, they don't want the security, they don't see the security, they don't want that. And and they've really pushed for advancement in their careers. And so now, as they age, now they're getting up in those ages. And what I try to tell the young women is that a lot of women are having that come to Jesus moment about, okay, let me make sure that I have a space to live in when I'm no longer working, my income, and ironing out my affairs, and my being able to pay my bills, and being able to move around, and what happens if I'm no longer 100% healthy. Like, they're having that come to Jesus moment. These are conversations that husbands and wives have. They're having it alone because there is no extra help. I mean, if you get sick, your husband is there, and he's there. I mean, even if extended family is not there, your husband makes space for you to be taken care of, just like you would take care of him if he were to get sick, through sickness and in health, till death do us part. And if you don't have that part, then it's all on you. And a lot of women are having these moments where they're sitting down, having these conversations. And I tell young women, this is going to happen to you too. This isn't just one group race of women or one group of, it's going to happen to every woman at some point. Even full-time homemakers, we have that come to Jesus moment, like, okay, what happens to my husband and what happens down the road. We'll talk about that in a minute. But it's a lot of conversation around is these women, they call them trad wives, traditional wives. And it's a movement. I think it became popular on the right. And these women are talking about returning to the home. And for a lot of women, that will be practical because it's in alignment to how they were raised. But some women were raised feminist, and some women were raised that you get out there and you help your man. And so for them, they just don't see the practicality of becoming a full-time homemaker. And so a lot of men are pushing back on that and saying, okay, so why now? For the last 20 years, women have been on this tear about making strides in corporate America. Now you want to pull back? What's wrong with that? What's up? Now that we accept you being in leadership roles, now that we accept you running companies, now that we accept that you want to get out there and be a corporate baddie, and we want to pull back. Obviously, we're pulling back because we don't want to compete with women in the workplace. We've been doing that, and we're just going to let you have it. Now the women are saying, some women are saying, I want to reevaluate this, and maybe I want to be a full-time homemaker, especially after so many years they want to have a family. They do see the importance of a wife staying home with her own children as opposed to sending them to a daycare. Some of the men are kind of skeptical about that. And I talk about that in my Future Wives Club. We talk about these conversations and how to have these conversations without men getting nervous, because they absolutely are. They're pushing back. But we can still have this conversation. And the women that come to me and say they want to be full-time homemakers, they leave full-time homemakers. Because it takes one to make one. Eat everything in moderation says, growing up hearing, don't depend on men, get educated, and so on to get married in 2021. Thanks to Mind Shift changes from you, I'm now a stay-at-home mom. Shout out to you. I told y'all we make stay-at-home moms over here. I still struggle not having my career anymore sometimes. And we'll talk about that too. One of the things, I'm going to be kind of open with you ladies. One of the things for me, like I said, I wasn't cut out to be a corporate baddie. I was one of those people, I go to work, I get a check, I go home. I just wanted to be in a career that I enjoyed, so that I knew that if I'm grinding, I knew that it's something that I want to do. Some women are super, super highly skilled, very bright women, and they just know how to navigate the corporate world. They take that on. Some women do it out of necessity, and I was one of those. I did it because that's what you were told to do. You go to college, you get a job, you get married, and you have children, and in that order. So I'm like, well, I'm going to work until I get married, and then let's see what happens. I just was not I was not a corporate baddie. Some women are corporate baddies. You get in there, you handle it, you knock it out. People start giving you promotions, you get accolades, you're the top at your field. That is wonderful. I was just a happy paralegal doing what I'm doing, and I made the decision that I wasn't going to go to law school. that was on the table earlier on, but I took a detour and I got married and I had babies. And then when I came back to that idea, revisited in my 30s, do I want to go to law school or not? I said no. I want to finish raising my children, and I just want to and I was making good money as a paralegal in Atlanta, very large law firm down there. I was doing good. I wasn't hurting. So I'm like, I'm good. I'm good. I do plan to get remarried and become a stay-at-home wife. That was the goal. And I said, you know what? I see the landscape. If that's not what God has for me, then if it's a man that loves me, I'm fine with that. But I don't really thrive in the workplace like that because that's not where my heart is. And I wish society would just be honest and stop putting so much pressure on every woman to be corporate baddies, because all of us are not corporate baddies. I'm not a corporate baddie. I'm just not. And I had to have a come to Jesus moment with Nicole. I had to drown out the culture, drown out my family, drown out whatever judgments, all of that, and what is going to make Nicole thrive. And the answer to that was being at home. That was going to make me thrive. That was my power and that was my peace. And a lot of women listening to me are going, but I can't do that. I have a lot of people depending on me. We're going to talk about that in a minute. But for a lot of you listening to this, you're going, wait a minute. I just cannot. I'm not thriving in the workplace, but there's no support system helping you. Like, you may go to certain platforms and you only see certain types of women. It's just all or nothing. You have to be living like Ballerina Farm in order for you to be trad wife. And I'm saying it doesn't have to be like that. Being a housewife has evolved in so many years. And a lot of times when I have these discussions with highly successful women, high functioning, bright, exceptional corporate baddies, that the judgment sets in immediately. What's wrong with you? It's almost like the silent judgment of you're an underachiever to sit at home and depend on your husband, because that's what I've heard. And I'm like, well, I'm not like you. I'm not a corporate baddie. I don't set things on fire when I enter a boardroom. Maybe everyone is not like that. Some women are meant to run a home business. Some women are meant to be busy in the community, and that's where they are highly effective. Some women are meant to be at home and be a domestic goddess and take care of her home and raise her children. All of us have different skill sets, and some women are going to be corporate baddies. And I wish that society would stop punishing women who have this realization within themselves, and they say, I'm not a corporate baddie. That's not me. Like, I wish we would stop getting beat up. I know we get beat up on the other end when we go to corporate America, and now this is how, well, you gave up your family for a career. Well, that's nuanced. A lot of women had no choice but to get a career. It was either that or poverty. It was either that, they have a lot of family members depending on it. And that's another conversation we need to have, why some women are in the corporate world. Everyone's not a corporate baddie, but they're still in the corporate world because they have to. They have a lot of people depending on them. So what I'm trying to say here is, I just wish society would stop beating up on women, whatever decision that they make. I think we are more evolved women than we've ever been. That was the whole point. Let me talk to the feminists right quick, because some of you are listening to me seething right now. Let me talk to you for a second. Wasn't the purpose of the feminist movement to give women choices and give them freedom? Well, I'm making the argument that my freedom is talking to you all on a Tuesday afternoon in the safety of my home that my husband has provided, as opposed to an office where I'm looking at a computer all day. That is my power, and that's my freedom. And wasn't that the purpose of the feminist movement? And so we had some celebrities in the last few weeks, and this summer, we're going to take it easy on our lives. We're not going to, the end of our season is the end of May, and summertime, we're going to go easy. So our lives are going to be kind of laid back in the summertime. And so all of these people going viral, we're going to talk about that this summer, right? As we have some celebrities that recently made some statements saying that marriage was slavery, or being a stay-at-home wife was slavery. And I wish I had been in the studio, because I would say, well, that's interesting that you say that, because I thought, for me, Nicole, me, the corporate world was slavery. I had to get up at a certain time. I had to be there at a certain time. I had to sit there. I had scheduled breaks. I had a scheduled lunch, and I couldn't go over. I mean, sometimes, depending if the attorney was in the office, it was very regimented. If he wasn't in the office, and that was usually Fridays, or he had court, we were probably all over the office doing whatever we wanted, as long as our work was done. But don't tell anybody. But for the most part, it was slavery for me. If I'm having a bad day physically or mentally, because I believe in mental health days. I believe in having a day where you turn the phone off, the TV off, and you just do whatever you want to do. I believe in those days. I couldn't have a mental health day. I couldn't just call in and say, because one, you have to call in and say, hey, I'm just not feeling it today, because you have to be sick. You have to have a legitimate reason to not come into office, especially if the attorney had court that day, especially if you had documents you need to go over. You had to submit it to DeKalb County. I had documents I had to e-sign, send them to the client. I have lawsuits, suits I had to prepare for Fulton County and Fayette County, and then I have to let the attorney know he's on his way to Savannah. I forgot the county down there. He's on his way to Savannah to have court there, and then it's just, and I have to call him on his cell phone. Hey, you left this document. I'm going to fax it. You get it in the clerk's office so you can have it for court. Like, all of these things, it's a lot. It's a lot. It's a lot. So for me, the corporate world was slavery. We have to be honest. Every woman is not going to be the same. Every woman is not going to forego everything in her life, go to Hollywood, give up everything, go to Hollywood, and sacrifice her life to be a movie star. That's not everybody's dream. So why do we make being a corporate baddie everybody's dream? Why do we do that to each other? I thought that was the purpose of the feminist movement, was to give each other freedom, but I see freedom only applies if you want to be a corporate baddie, and that's where I get kind of defensive, when I'm like, maybe her role is to be home. Now let's talk about these conversations surrounding being a full-time housewife, homemaker, whatever you want to call it, domestic CEO. Let's talk about that. Let's enter the man element, because a lot of women just don't trust men 100%. Some of that is from personal experience. Some of that is observing your mothers and grandmothers and so forth. Maybe your family has some traumatic issues with men, and you saw that. Fair enough. But then a lot of that has to do with the choices that we make and who we choose as husbands. And this is where the Future Wives Club comes in, because I tell you, these are the type of men that are going to make great husbands for the traditional life. These are the signs you're looking for. This is what you're looking for. And this is what you have to do in order to have this conversation with him and he accept it. Because a lot of the culture is telling you all to talk about being a full-time homemaker, and you're using conversations and trick methods that men are not going for that crap. They're just not. They don't believe you. They don't trust you, and it's just not working. But if you really are a traditional woman, you need to communicate in a way that he will trust that. And you can only get that from somebody who's actually living it, who's done it. And that's why the women that come through my program are traditional housewives, if they choose to. Some of them do, some of them don't. I had some corporate baddies that came through my program, and they were like, I want the part where you help me get married, not the part you help me be traditional. Got it. That's cool. That's fine. That's fine. That's absolutely fine. I can do that in my sleep. But the culture mixes up that feminist rhetoric with that undertone of hating men and despising men, that men can kind of hear it, and they kind of feel like being a traditional wife is somehow, I'm your Aladdin, and marriage is the magic carpet to whoosh you away from all of your troubles, and then we're just going to live happy. That's not how this is, and that's how the culture kind of positions women to communicate to men, and that's why men push back on it because they're like, I'm not your Aladdin to just kind of be your scapegoat. That's not what we're doing here, and that's what the community does, and that's why women miss the boat, and that's why the trad movement fell flat on its face, and the women that are truly traditional, we still own it, we still pumping our fists, yeah, traditional, because that's what we really are. And then the women that couldn't achieve it because they're listening to the culture, they're even more frustrated with men. Why won't you pay all the bills? You just want us to be 50-50. You're just broken, you're dusty. No, you just need to know how to activate that in men, because a lot of that is lying dormant in a lot of men. And if you, one, weren't raised like that, know how to speak to men like men, respect men, and know how to have a conversation with them about your future families without it sounding like the culture, he's going to push back on it. And that's what's happening. Men are pushing back, which before the end of the season, we're going to talk about men pushing back. I think that's important that we talk about and why they're pushing back. But um, a lot of women push back on the idea of being a full-time homemaker, and I don't blame them. That's their story, that's their journey, and I am in no way, shape, or form going to look at them in any shape or form. And the reason why a lot of people push back on the trad wife movement was because they felt isolated from it. They felt like it was some exclusive club they couldn't be in. Oh, I have to look a certain way. Oh, I have to come from a certain background. Oh, I have to. The only thing that wasn't communicated effectively in some of these movements and some of these spaces, and trust me, I've been to most of them. What wasn't communicated was what type of man you need, that God is always in the mix, and two, how you come across. A lot of that was not communicated. It was just, this is what God wants for your family, and this is how you raise your family. And if you're not, you're a feminist. And if you don't do this, you're a feminist. And if you don't have your children, you're a feminist. And if you don't have 5 kids with no anesthesia, you're a feminist. And if you don't know how to bake bread from scratch, you're a feminist. It was just, what? And some of this stuff, I looked at it and I was like, this is good. And a lot of that stuff was not even scriptural. It was just people's personal journeys and how they want to show up as a traditional housewife, not how it's supposed to be. In a lot of ways, I don't even do some of the stuff they're talking about. First of all, I don't have a house full of kids. I'm not baking bread from scratch. My husband doesn't even want all that stuff. I love to cook. My husband doesn't eat all of that. So if you want me to sit up here and say and lie to you, telling you I cook a bunch of stuff, Tony will come back behind me and say, no, she doesn't. She doesn't cook like that. And he'll tell you I don't eat that stuff. He does. He's a very picky eater. And I could cook. When we were courting, he came to Atlanta to see me. And you know me, I had to put my best foot forward, baby. I had to let him know. Your girl could throw down in the kitchen. You know how I do. You know, my dressing is second to none. People come from all over for my dressing. No shade, no tea. I'm going to put it in a cookbook I'm working on. I'm a perfectionist, so I'm testing all these recipes. I haven't forgotten about my recipe book. I'm testing it because it's going to be a traditional Black American cookbook. So I'm taking my time. I'm taking my time. All right. So, you know, he comes to town and he comes by and I have this full spread. It wasn't a holiday or anything. I just want to, let him know this is what you're getting with, and he was like, he nitpicked, he ate the turkey, he might have had a spoonful of greens, and he didn't eat the dressing, he didn't eat the mac and cheese. I mean, he left a lot of stuff, and I was like, what am I going to do with this food? He didn't eat it. And he said, I'm a picky eater, I don't eat all of this, I just need some turkey and some greens and a roll. And I said, what? That's it? And that's how it is. So, I would feel some type of way if I read someone's post that said, if you don't make bread from scratch, and if you don't cook from scratch, and if you don't get up at the break of dawn and make your husband a full spread, I would feel some type of way. I don't, because it's more than one way to skin a cat. Everybody's family is going to look a little bit different, but we still have the same values. Are you following me here? Ladies, put a one in the chat if you following me here. I don't want you ladies to go on social media, and these trad wife accounts are wonderful, they're beautiful, and they're aspirational, but don't look at that as the be all to end all. Well, if I don't have her life just like that, I can't have it. Please don't do that. Please don't even take what I do in my house with my husband. We are an older couple. Child, I'm not cooking all that. Some days I have days where I don't even cook because it's just me and him. It's just me and him. Some days I cook enough for 2 days. So I don't have to cook the next day. I put that crock pot on and come back upstairs and do what I do. Like, it's more than one way to skin a cat. I don't want you ladies to be discouraged because what you see online, especially if you're corporate America, you're looking at some of these travel. If you're like, I'm never going to do that, I didn't do everything right, I've been in corporate America for 20 years, it's never going to happen for me. Whatever, it happened for me, it can happen for you. That's why you need to get in the Future Wives Club so I can show you how to do that. All right, so for a lot of women it may be that. For some women it's they just have so much on their plates in terms of responsibility, they just cannot walk away from it. For example, and I'm not trying to make this a race thing, but in some sectors of our American society, we have some women that their families are so dependent on them, they cannot walk away just to be a housewife because their family is dependent on them being responsible and helping them out, especially extended family. Right? You have children dependent on you, older children dependent on you. You have family members, extended family, older parents. A lot of these people are dependent on you, and you can't just, like, Nicole, I hear what you're saying, but I can't do that in practice because I have so much on my plate. I understand that. So your conversation will be a little bit different. And so a lot of women who have that story will push back on being traditional because that's their story. They feel excluded from something. You're telling me I'm less than a woman because I can't be your version of womanhood. And I'm saying, ladies, you're still a woman, but your life, your home life with your husband, when you get one, is going to be different than, say, mine or a woman that is full time. It's going to be carved out, curated a little bit differently, and that's okay. It's no reason to throw rocks at someone who has a life that's different. It just means that they have a different journey than you, and that's okay, right? And that's really what I'm really kind of pushing, is that let's not put so much pressure on other people just because they have a different journey, right? That's what's happening a lot, is that some women feel defensive. You're telling me I'm less than a woman because I don't want to get in there and cook bread from scratch. I want to go to a boardroom. I get my fulfillment from a boardroom and not baking bread. And I'm saying some women's their skill set is highly they have high skill set, they're very talented, very bright, exceptional women, and so they are going to go to the moon and beyond, right? And marriage will hold you back. There's some women that are so great, I believe marriage will hold them back. That's not the majority. You have some exceptional women in the world that will achieve exceptional things and still manage to get married. Kamala Harris, for example, exceptional woman and still managed to get married. Are you following me here? Oprah Winfrey, exceptional woman, marriage will probably hold her back. You have some other women out there. Katie Couric, exceptional woman, still managed to get married. Right? Are you following me here? Are you following me? Okay. Remember last week I talked about the world is so exceptional. I'm so complex now. It's so complex that telling a woman that all you do is cook and clean is not catching up to what it is. Real life. It's not being honest and truthful about where society is. And we kind of pigeonhole and say, because you are a corporate baddie, you can never be a homemaker. And that's not true. Because you are a homemaker, you're never going to be more than that. That's all you are as a wife and mother. That's a lie. You're more than just, you're still who you are. You're just a wife and a mother. And I think women put pressure on each other. I know society tends to do put its level of pressure on women, but I think women put pressure on each other that if you don't live like me, you're less than a woman. And when it comes to marriage, marriages are going to look different. This is why you need the Future Wives Club, because we talked about wife archetypes last week, and a lot of women were trying to discover who their wife are. How are they going to show up in their marriage? That's important. And I told them how to communicate that to their future husbands. That's important. That's important. It's how you communicate, how you're going to show up. Other than saying what you want and what it is, baby, you have to be able to communicate to that man how you're going to show up as his wife. And then in our next Future Wives Club live masterclass, we're going to talk about the husband archetypes that match that. You need to be matched with the husband archetype that fits you. A lot of women are out of lockstep, out of I'll just take whatever as long as he has money, and it's or as long as he can take care of a family, and it's out of whack. So I'm getting off a tangent here, but I'll come back to that. So, but I'm explaining to you ladies that in the Future Wives Club we talk about our marriages and how to curate those and how to find a man that's on that is has the same ideas and has the same marital goals that we do. A lot of women, you're barking up the wrong tree, you're wasting a lot of time with men that don't have the same values as you. Right? I'll come back to that. So that's why some women are pushing back on the full-time homemaker thing. And one of the things that I expressed to you ladies when I first came on the scene years ago, I was talking about femininity. That's how I broke into the social media thing. I was talking about femininity primarily. Our three pillars are faith, family, and femininity. And so I started out speaking about femininity. And women immediately thought I was telling them to be like me. And that's funny because some women, they watch and they have no problems with her telling them to be like, oh, you should try this face spray, and oh, you should try this lotion, and oh, you should try these clothes, you should try this brand, and this and that. And it's, and they don't mind being influenced by that influencer. But when I started talking about femininity, and a few others in the space could testify to this, we started talking about femininity, it was an immediate pushback. And I was like, what is the pushback? I'm not telling you to wear pearls like me, and I'm certainly not telling you to dress like me. I have my own style. I've had the same style since my early 20s. I'm not going to change. People tell me I dress like a church. I'm fine with that because the women that I went to church with were some of the best dressed women, whether they were casual, whether it was Sunday morning, and the clothes they were not cheap. Okay. And I've worn some of the best clothes when I worked downtown Atlanta. I'm sorry, in Midtown. Let me be clear. In Midtown Atlanta, I wore some of the best clothes money could buy, please. So, please, I could dress with the best of them. Trust me, I can. However, I don't want you to dress like me. Your style is your style. Find out who you are as a woman. As a matter of fact, I'm telling you that some of the values that the culture pushes, it will not rock with these guys. They are not going to sign up to marry some of the stuff that the culture is pushing women to keep saying and keep doing. All right? It's pushing women into a corner where they can't get out. The men are saying, gotcha. And you don't want me to pay all your bills. You want to be a corporate baddie? Cool. I won't pay all the bills. Let's go 50-50. Now the women are upset. See how you got cornered? See how you got pushed back into a corner because the culture told you to say that? See how the culture tells you, I don't, all that dressing feminine and all that kind of stuff. And now men are saying, okay, that's fine. I want a woman that dresses feminine. See how the culture pushed you into a corner now? I'm just telling women, don't get pushed into a corner. And don't follow the culture into a corner. You can't get yourself out of that corner. And a lot of women are finding themselves in the corner. And so now they're doubling down. Hey, I'm just going to stay in the corner. Screw it. I won't get married at all. I'm not doubling down in any corner. So I'm not doing it. I'm getting what I want out of life. You all can do what you want. I'm not telling women to be dressed like me. I'm saying if marriage is what you want, with a godly man that understands responsibility and wants a family, that culture talk will not absolutely work. It will not work. And so that stepped on a lot of people's toes. Who are you to tell me? I'm not telling you to wear pearls. Please don't wear pearls. If that's not your personality, please don't wear pearls. Please don't wear pearls. But now we had a presidential candidate that had chucks and pearls. He said, "Oh, chucks and pearls is my pearl." So I'm just saying, y'all. I'm just saying, ladies. I'm just saying it's just weird. But women are evolving. Women are evolving. That's the point. Then there's some women that are pushing back on the full-time homemaker thing because they don't want to depend on a man. I understand. This is where the feminist movement kind of screwed a lot of women over here, is because they told women that the patriarchy, down with the patriarchy, it's the patriarchy, and men want, they want to control women's bodies, and they want to control women and control. You mean rich men want to control women? Because the people that control other people are the top, what, 0.5%, the top 1%, the elite rich men. The rest of these men out here don't control anything. It's the elites that control. So if you're saying that, I'll agree with you. But to say men outright out here controlling women, that's not true. They don't even control the narrative. Men no longer control the narrative. Women do what they want to do. You have social media. You post what you want to on your social media. Nobody's keeping you from posting what you want on your social media. I want you all to visit some of these other countries where the women are really oppressed. And it will not be Europe, and it will not be the Westerns. It will be some of these other places on the planet where they literally tell women what you can and cannot do. We are far from being oppressed. Right? We say our patriarchy is. I've seen some play. Yeah, we're not that. Women can control. You literally can control your own narrative. You can literally rewrite your own story into what you want it to be in this great place. You have your criticisms of the United States, but there's no place on this planet you can literally be whoever it is you want to be, especially women. Women can do whatever. They can forego marriage altogether. They can get married if they want to. They can live with another woman. They can fly to the moon if they want. Women can literally do whatever it is they want. So where's the patriarchy telling women what they can and cannot do? Are you saying that men have desires and requirements? That's not going anywhere. As humans, we all have standards and requirements. So if you're upset that men are saying we want women modestly dressed, we want a woman that hasn't been touched by a bunch of people, and she can still develop intimacy, healthy intimacy with me. If you're upset with men because they have a standard, baby, you're going to be upset. That's not patriarchy. That's men saying, an individual man, because some men are easy, more lenient than others, but that's not the patriarchy. That's men saying this is what I require for my woman. And some women get upset because they may not fit into that, whatever that requirement is for that man. But that's not patriarchy. Patriarchy is my father saying, you're my daughter. You're not leaving this house dressed like that. I did not raise you to look like that. You will put on some clothes. Because I'm not trying to go to jail because some boy did something to you or hurt you or did, because that's what fathers do. They will fight and they're ready for jail to defend their daughters. And if he saw me wear something that I snuck out, I would have to sneak it out and change in the bathroom. I did that a couple times and got caught. If you were one of those, my daddy was like, as long as you're in my house, you will not wear that. And you give it to her. Matter of fact, a couple of times he literally told me to give it to him. Give it to me. He literally confiscated it from me and said, as my daughter, you're not leaving this house dressed like that. So I'm sorry. He taught me modesty, and I just keep that modesty till this day. Modesty that my husband appreciates. But if you had a father in the home, he absolutely told you, take that off. You're not leaving my house dressed like that. I don't want to have to go to jail for wringing some knucklehead's neck because he disrespected you or harmed you in any way. That's what fathers do. They set the standard by way to protect you. And that's what your husband, he comes behind your dad and does the same thing. And so if you did not have that, growing up, that you may struggle with that, but that's something you need to reconcile if you want to be a full-time housewife. Even if you want to be married, period, on some level, if he's not a henpecked man and a noodleback man, he has some standards, he's still going to stand up and say, now, if you marry a man that lets you wear and do whatever you want, eventually you lose respect for him anyway. Because that's what children do. Have you seen a child that can do whatever they want? They have no curfew. They have no standards. They can make any kind of grades they want. They talk to their parents any kind of way. They do whatever they want. Do they have respect for their parents, really? Over time, they end up disrespecting their parents. I've seen children have the most laid back childhoods and grow up to disrespect their parents. You know why? Because their parents had no backbones to tell them, no, Timmy, go sit down. You've had enough cookies. You will ruin dinner, or you can have cookies after you eat everything on your plate. Well, go ahead and give Timmy the cookie. He can have the cookie. It's okay that Timmy has the cookie. Timmy don't need any more cookies. He needs to eat his dinner. He needs to eat his vegetables. And so Timmy grows up to be disrespectful. This is human nature. This is exactly what a woman does with a man who lets her walk all over him. Eventually she loses respect for him. And men know this. Healthy men know that in my household, this is how I want my house run. And it's not in a dictatorship. Speaking of that, let's talk about that. A lot of women don't trust men because they feel men are going, the patriarchy. Let's talk about the abusive men. There has been some men that are abusive. I'm not going to hold that from you. I'm not going to lie and say there are some men that all men were great husbands and fathers, because the fact of the matter is we can see that back in the day when getting married and having a family was prevalent, was the majority, and being single was the minority. Sure, there was a lot of scumbag husbands who were abusive. They were alcoholics. Maybe they were horrible fathers. They didn't show up emotionally. Because they probably had to marry the same girl they had sex with in high school, or the same girl they went to high school with, and one of the girls from the block, and so they really didn't have a whole lot of choices. And so these two people got married young, and because that's who you marry. You grew up and you married somebody you went to school with, or somebody from the neighborhood. You really didn't have a lot of choices. People just weren't traveling a lot back then. That's what you did. And so they get married, and then they don't show up as good spouses to each other. And a lot of times the men were scumbags sometimes. But here's the problem. I believe 90 to 95% of those marriages, the men were not like that. And so we allowed the exception to become the rule. And this is what the danger of the feminist movement meant. It packaged itself like it was helping women, and I do believe it was helping the women that were in those situations, but the majority of women were not in those situations. They were not. And what it did was created this whole narrative that marriage itself was the problem. Patriarchy was the problem. Marriage is slavery. Men are abusive. They want to hurt you. And women grabbed on to this narrative and they never let it go. And for some women, they actually lived it because it became a self-fulfilling prophecy. If the boomers pushed this, guess what? Guess who inherited it? The Generation Xers and the millennials. And I'm so glad to see some of the Zs pushing back on that, and some of the Zs doing Bible study and returning back to Christ. I love seeing that. They are rejecting some of this cultural noise. I love seeing it. I think the G's and Generation Alpha are going to reset all of this crap. I think so. I'm counting on Generation Alpha. I'm counting on my grandkids to reset this crap, right? That's why I do these videos, so they can hear their grandmother talking this. I'm giving them their talking points when they grow up. You listening, Scarlett? I love you. Grandma is teaching you what to say. All right. Teaching my grandsons how to what to say. But so we inherited it. So no, you weren't the ones pushing back on family as a collective society, but we inherited it. And some of the talking points, the culture still pushes. Men are bad. Patriarchy is bad. It's the problem. No, rich elites are the problem. Rich elites that control everybody else, the top 1%. They control everybody else. The average dude out here is going to work, coming home because he was told you better earn enough to take care of a woman and take care of children. So when he comes and he says, I could buy a house and a car, but I'm not rich, she's like, you're not rich. You're a Dusty. You're broken. He's like, wait. I never said I was Shamar Moore. I never said I was Laz Alonso. My bad. These are guys that I found attractive. I never said that I was, Paul Walker or, I don't know. Put somebody in the chat that you think is, top notch looks. He's coming to you. These guys are coming in and saying, I never said I was this guy, but what I am, I'm not ugly. And what I am is I can take care of you and some children. We might not have an S-Class or a G-Wagon or a Maybach, but you and I can have a really good life and we can raise some children. And the women are saying, what? You broke? Get out of my face. Prince. She said Prince. And the guys are saying, what? They're standing there with their hands out like, what? What did I do wrong? Right? Of course, I'm not in the top 20% of good-looking guys. I'm just an average guy out here, just like you're average. And together, we're average together and have a great, solidly middle-class family. And the women in the feminist movement say, ha! You can take your 2-bedroom, 1-bath starter house and shove it. I'm going to work. And the men say, you're going to work? And she said, yeah. And I want to have sex with whoever I want to have sex with. And the men said, what? You don't want to just have sex with your husband? You want to have sex with everybody? With whoever you want? And the women say, yeah. Yeah, that's what we want. And the men said, so you want to pay your own bills and you want to have sex with whoever you want? Yeah, we want freedom. Now, this wasn't us listening to this. This wasn't my generation. And this wasn't millennials. Yes, they said that. They absolutely said that. You know what they did? They listened to a housewife, Betty Friedan, who's a housewife, just like me. And instead of her cooking and cleaning, taking care of her home and being grateful for her husband that got up every day and went to work and paid all the bills, you know what she did? She wrote a book about how enslaved she was and how oppressed she was as a housewife. That's what she did. And you know what? The modern feminist movement took her book as Bible. And the women say, I want to have sex with who I want to have sex with. And the men say, what? You don't want to just, I want to protect you. I want to put you on a pedestal as my wife. I don't want to have that. I want to have sex with who I want to have sex with. And the men say, what? You want to burn your bra? And the men were scratching their heads like, you want to burn your bra? But I want to take care of you. I want to give you the soft life. You can sit at home and take you an afternoon nap and wake up and make dinner and, you can homeschool the babies if you want, or you can have coffee in the morning with your girlfriends. Like, that's the life I want to take. I want to take care of you. And the women were like, no, that's oppressive. We want to get out here and work. And so the fellas, after a few years of kicking and screaming, they finally let women do what they wanted to do. And here we are. The Generation Xers, we're tired. The millennials, they're like, I see the Xers and I do not want to be her. I mean, I'll be a corporate baddie a little bit, but not forever. Like, eventually I want to get out of the rat race. And the Zs are like, oh, you all are crazy. I'm going to carve out a path for myself. And here we are. And you say, well, Nicole, that's not all feminism was about. Yeah, that pretty much sums it up. And I'm not saying that there aren't some women that have a legitimate gripe with men. I'm saying they are the exceptions, not the rule. Because especially my family, the men in my family, you can't be Dusty because we're going to talk about you bad. There's no bailout in our family for Dusties. Not in mine. We will talk about you. We call each other about it. Did you hear about such and such? What? What's he doing? He's not working? What? Well, we talk about you. When we have a family gathering, we talk about you. Bad. It's not even good. You cannot be Dusty in my family. You don't take care of your kids. You ain't my cousin. Get away from here. Ew. Ask my cousin. He pops up on my live sometimes. Ask him the next time. Are you allowed to be Dusty in this? He had to buy his wife a house. What? 50-50. He had to. In my family, my son, my daughter-in-law does not work because he knew. He knew what I was gonna. She works, and she just had a baby. What's going on here? Where did I fail you, son? Where did I fail you that you think this is okay? How did I fail you? Why aren't you taking care of her? She just had your child. She risked her life having your child, and you put her back in work. Where did I fail you? Let's have a conversation. Where did I fail you? Where did your father fail you? What happened? What's going on? That's my family. You can, the men in my family can, going to jail is not an option. You're liable to be disowned, and we will not talk to you. Jail? Ew. What? Not getting an education? You don't take care of your family. That's not even an option, right? Not in my family. And so a lot of men were like, she doesn't want me to pay her bills. She wants to pay her own way. So when the guys started to understand through Playboy and Prawn and a monetized dating market, the monetized dating market went from I have to ask her out, pay for dinner, and hope she likes me. It went from that to she better have sex with me in 3 days, and I might take her for coffee. And no, I'm not marrying her. That's what it went to. That's where we are right now. The men said, wait. I get to have sex with a woman and I don't have to marry her? This is fantastic. Wait a minute. I can lay down with a woman, have my fill of her. I can call her my girlfriend for as long as I want and still not have to marry her? This is fantastic. You mean to tell me I can have her move in with me? We can have all the nasty sex we want, like we're husband and wife, but we're not married. I can do this, and I only have to pay 50% of the bills? She still goes to work and pays bills? This is fantastic. No, I don't care about her past. Who cares about her past? She wants to do 50-50. Cool. She pays some of the bills. I pay some of the bills. I don't care about her past. Who cares about that? We can split those bills. She's a corporate baddie. I don't have to worry about these things. I'm just telling you, this is no shade or judgment. I'm telling you how men are thinking about the feminist movement, but they don't want to tell you the feminist movement gave them more freedom than it gave women. Men now can move about like they have never been able to move about yet. And now we want to pressure and shame men back into the marriage cage. I'm going to cover this in another live. I'm kind of getting ahead of myself, so we're going to come back. I'm going to dial it back a little bit. But what I'm telling you is the feminist movement has set men up. They are cool. They are straight right now. They are good. And so what's putting a snag in that is some women are saying, that was all crap. I want to be at home with my children, and I want you to pay all the bills while I'll take care of the home and raise the babies. And some of the men are pushing back, kicking and screaming. But then there's some that are open to that. They're open to that all day long. They just, when they hear the culture, some of the stuff that the culture is telling you to say to men, they're like, They're pushing back on it. That's why I have the Future Wives Club, so that we can get that culture conversation out of you, so that when you talk to a man, he hears a man or hears a woman that's serious about raising a family, not someone that's just trying to escape the culture. You're part of the culture and you're just trying to escape it because you're tired of working. You need the Future Wives Club. You need someone who actually walks the walk and talks the talk. I'm not telling you a fantasy about this life. I actually live it. So these are reasons why some women have pushed back against being full-time homemakers. And what they do is they demonize this lifestyle because they are not familiar with it, or maybe they just don't want it, or maybe they don't like it, or maybe they feel they don't qualify. Every woman qualifies for it if you position yourself ready. A lot of women will never get it because you want to hang on to culture ideology. Well, Nicole, I've been in corporate America for 20 years, 25 years, or I retired and stuff like that. Please, I have women of all ages in my containers that work with me, and if they tell me they want to be full-time homemakers, we've been able to get that for them. No fantasy talk, no manipulation, no games. Only a woman that lives that life can help you with that. No fantasies. I'm not telling you any fantasies, no manipulation. I'm helping you understand the landscape that we're in and honestly get rid of that culture conversation, because that's why so many women are frustrated right now, because they keep talking like the culture. That stuff never works. These men are pushing back on that like ever before. We're going to talk about that. I don't know if it'll be next week or the week, but we're going to talk about the men pushing back and what to do about that. Because no amount of communication, I got to speak to him this way, I got to do this, do that, and none of that's working. The men are listening to that laughing. They're in the clouds laughing. That's laughable. That she thinks that touching my shoulder this way or flipping her hair this way or doing this is going to melt me into doing what she wants me to do. Because it's still culture. Still culture talk. Men know the culture. They listen to these lives and reels, and even if you stop doing it right now, it's not going to change anything. Men know. And women that want to keep going down this road talking like, it's really talking like feminist, men are going to push back on it. Men have no problem. They want to protect you from bad men too. So they have no problem with fair pay. And they have no problem with making sure you have your benefits. And they have no problem with protecting you from abusive men. That's what men do. They have no problems with that part. But when it became, we're pushing back against men being the head of their households, and all men are violent, and masculinity is toxic. When that became part of the American lexicon, that's when men started checking out wholesale. It took a minute for men to get to this point, but baby, it's about to get worse. Men are checking all the way out. And when women talk to them with that culture talk, it gets absolutely worse. You trying to seduce them, it gets worse. You're trying to trick him, it gets worse. You trying to manipulate him, asking for money, it gets worse. It gets worse. It gets worse. It gets worse. It takes someone who actually lives this life to help you communicate that to a man. Go ahead, hit the link at the top so that I can help you with that in our containers there. We have the Fun Girl Rehab. Get that culture up out of you. Yes, there are men out there that will absolutely love you. As long as you're talking culture talk, they can pick up on it when you're faking. They can. If it's not a true transformation, they can tell. So we help you with the Fun Girl Rehab. No judgment. We help you with the Blindspot the Brides, for those ladies that are still trying to figure out, why doesn't he take me seriously? I tried the nerd. I tried this, I tried that, and none of them want to take me seriously. None of them want to talk about marriage with me. You need to blind spot the bride, right? So that's what we're talking about. Some women just won't do that. So some of the things that I learned as a full-time homemaker is that conversations need to be fleshed out before you get married. My husband and I sat down after our engagement, and we talked about, okay, because some marriage negotiations we did before the proposal, because we knew we were going to get married. And then there were some things we solidified after, when we started working through the wedding and getting wedding plans solidified and things like that. Okay, let's have a come to Jesus moment. And he said, this is what I asked him flat out, what do you expect of your wife? And he asked me, what do you expect of your husband? And I told him. And he said, I'm a traditional man. I do not want you working outside of the house. So here's another thing about full-time homemakers, because people, people always fuss at full-time homemakers. That's all you are as a full-time homemaker. Why don't you ask my husband? I wish people would stop jumping on the homemaker herself, because a lot of times if you talk to her husband, this is what he wants. People act like these husbands went kicking and screaming into paying all the bills while she's standing up. Why don't you talk to the husbands? A lot of these husbands will tell you, and I know you ladies that have heard my husband speak in certain places, in certain live streams. You heard, does he sound like he bites his tongue about anything? He is very colorful. He will tell you what he thinks. And ask him, just randomly, next time you see him on a live or something like that, ask him, did you want Nicole to be a housewife? And just get ready for a 5-minute talk. He'll tell you. He'll tell you. So I wish people would start talking to these husbands. There are some husbands out there, some men out there, that they're not listening to the culture. They want what they want. My husband said he wanted a traditional woman. He wanted a woman to love him back and to show up for his family. And he just wasn't confident he was going to find that. And so he was ready for a different type of going away party. As he aged, he was like, this is what I expect. He wasn't confident he was going to find a woman like me. Ladies, I'm telling you, they exist, all ages. You're listening to these podcasts and these people. I'm so sorry. They grew up in broken homes. They don't really know what they're talking about. I'm not trying to be mean or elitist. I'm telling you, it's the truth. They're speaking from trauma. And they're telling you stuff that I've lived this. I grew up in it. I'm not teaching from trauma. And I'm not pushing trauma on you. I'm pushing transformation and victory on you. Please don't tell me what's not possible when I actually lived it. I was in my 40s. And I attracted that because there are men out there that still want this. They absolutely do. Well, Miss Nicole, I'm in my 50s. Okay. What's your point? Like, what are you talking about? They exist. Please stop listening to hurt people hurt people. I'm not hurt. I'm happy. Do I sound hurt? I'm happy. Listen to happy people. I'm happy. So if that's what you want, baby, let's get it. And I'm just trying to help women that are listening to this that may be going, I don't know. That's okay. Think about it. I have a book called Discovering Wife Styles. It's available on Amazon. Just type in Discovering Feminine Wife Styles and it breaks down. It helps women decide which one they want. And there's a quiz in there that you can take that helps you position you. Take the quiz before you read the book and then take the quiz after you read the book. And you'll discover, did you transform during the book or did you stay the same? Because if you stayed the same, that's what you want. Some women want to continue working after they marry. That's okay. Maybe you're a corporate baddie and that's your skill set and that's where you get your fulfillment. No worries. I can help you get married too. Matter of fact, most of the women that I've got married, they either want to stay at home or they want to continue working. And some women will continue working until they have their first baby. It's more than one way to skin a cat. So, so that book will help you with that. It's called Discovering Feminine Wife Styles, and it's available on Amazon. Right? Leave me a review and let me know what you think. Alright, and if you left me a review, screenshot it and send it to my inbox, if you have my inbox, or if you have my IG, one of my inboxes. Don't send it to Facebook. I never check that inbox. Send it to IG or my actual email, or reply to the new weekly newsletter with your screenshot, and I have something special for you. But anyway, the point I'm trying to make is some women will still be making that decision, and those men are out there. They're laying dormant. They're not walking around waving, talking about, hey, I'm a traditional man. Why? So they can become marks? They're not doing that, and they don't want to do that so that women that are predatory will come for them. They have it in their hearts to take care of their woman, to provide the soft life for her. Like, people call this the soft life. I'm going to come back to that. But to provide the soft life for her, they want that for their wives. But they don't want to be taken advantage of. And that's why they lay dormant and they don't let you know who they are. They just let you talk. Yeah, corporate baddie, go ahead, keep talking. They're not going to talk you off that ledge. You want to keep working. They're not going to tell you, well, no, I want my woman to stay at home. Woman, you stay at home. Like, they're done with that. That was back in the 70s and 80s when they pumped their fists talking about my wife better stay at home. Those days are over. They're not doing that anymore. If you say you want to work and pay bills, they're not going to argue with you. They're going to move on. They're going to move on, especially if they're truly traditional. They're going to be like, that's not for me. I know my husband was like that. He did not want a corporate baddie. That's not what he wanted. Now, the culture will have you believe that if she wants to stay at home, if he wants her to stay at home, he wants to control her. Again, we're letting the exceptions be the rule. You go out there and put that hard hat on and you dig ditches. Matter of fact, I think our president of the United States is issuing the draft. Go ahead. You sign up for that draft. Me, I'm going to go get my nails done. I'm going to go ahead here and cook my husband's favorite meal. I'm going to see if I can get some new drapes. I'm going to plan our vacation. You do that. You go ahead and do that. Me, I'm going to get I'm going a different direction. I'm sorry. I'm not fighting it any worse. If you're looking for me to defend you in a war, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. It's not happening. Shout out to the active duty servicemen and women out there. We appreciate you. Appreciate you, your service. Shout out to my son and all the active duty out there. We appreciate your service. But listen, I'm not serving. So, but I'm just saying, the feminist movement didn't count on that. And if they implement the draft, guess what? A lot of women that wanted equality, go ahead. Go ahead, tell Uncle Sam you're not gonna show up. Go ahead, tell Uncle Sam, but I'm a woman. Uncle Sam is gonna go, but you've been saying you want to be equal to men and down with the patriarchy. Well, down with the patriarchy means that women don't need men for protection. Women protect themselves. And that means they are absolutely, absolutely capable of war. So get on out there and get to the front lines. There's no pretty privilege in the Marines. There's no pretty privilege in the United States Navy. There is no pretty privilege in the Air Force or the Army. Hello, anybody that's serving or have served, please let me know. Check me if I'm wrong, but is there pretty privilege in the military? Huh? Please let me know if there's pretty privilege. Because I want pretty privilege. I don't know about you all. I love pretty privilege. Even at my age, I love it. Even if it's out of me being an old lady and being respectful, I don't care. I'll take it. Give me your chair, please. Thank you so much. I don't even have to ask. People change their conversations around me. They pull out chairs. I love pretty privilege. If you want to hand in your pretty privilege, you speak for yourself. You go right ahead. I love pretty privilege. I love being a woman. I love people deferring to me because I'm a woman. I love people being softer around me because I'm a woman. I love it. You speak for yourself. I didn't even get that kind of treatment in the office. There is no pretty privilege in the office. If you get pretty privilege in the office, guess what that's called? Does anybody know what pretty privilege in the office is called? Do you know what that's called? Let me see how sharp you ladies are this afternoon. What's pretty privilege in the office? You get pretty privilege. Come on in here. Let's give you this job because you're pretty. Come on over here. What's pretty privilege in the office? In corporate, what's that called? Pretty privilege. Come on over here. You're so pretty. Oh, come sit next to me. What does pretty privilege look like real time in corporate America? Let's see how sharp you are. Somebody says sleeping around. Not quite. Not quite. What does pretty privilege look like in corporate America? Does anybody know? Let me see how sharp you are. I'll give you a couple of seconds to think about it. She said, I wasn't dressed up or anything and they were speaking to me. Yes, exactly. Exactly, but pretty privilege in the office, it's a very thin line. It's called sexual harassment. That's what it's called. Men can't give you pretty privilege in the workplace. But you all call that slavery? Men can't defer to you, open up the door to you, save the door for you, carry your things from your cubicle to another cubicle to help you out. They can't do that for you. That's sexual harassment specifically for you and nobody else. That's why the office place, if you look at if you study office etiquette and business etiquette, because you would know this if you were on the Feminine Elite Society app available on Apple and Google, you would already know this because we cover little nuances like this. The office places are genderless. There's no patriarchy in the office. You don't want patriarchy? Go to work and keep going to work. There's no patriarchy there. Nobody is supposed to give up their seat. Nobody's required to give up their seat for you in the office. And if they keep giving you preferential treatment because you're pretty, guess what he's in line for? A Me Too, a sexual harassment. Hello? Y'all with me? Put a 1 in the chat if you're with me. Come on. Don't get quiet on me now. This is what women have done. Now, if you've watched the TV show Mad Men, and if you've read books about corporate America in the 60s, and like I have, it was a zoo. The way they treated women back then, it was a zoo. So we needed some decorum in the workplace, but the feminist movement took it to the next level. There's no more Joan walking around the office switching, bossing everybody around because she's a woman. No more. She'll do it to a T. But no, she doesn't get deferential treatment because she has a relationship with the boss. That's sexual harassment. And somebody else that noticed that can bring her and sue her and sue the company. Why does she get preferential treatment? Because she's sleeping with sleeping with Mr. Sterling. And those of you that saw the TV show Mad Men, why does she get preferential treatment? Because she's sleeping with the boss. Because his name is on the building. People can bring up lawsuits because of that. This is what the feminist movement brought to the table. So when we say we don't want patriarchy, guess what? Patriarchy is not at your job, and patriarchy is not in the military. Although they're trying to put it back in the military, the paste is out of the bottle now. The military has no patriarchy. You want to go to the front line? They'll find some place for you to go. You know, they used to protect women and tell them to be nurses and work with the doctors and, in the theater. And they would tell women that they can help with the troops and the morale and keep them out of danger. There was an idea that women were not supposed to be out and have to carry artillery. They shouldn't be out fighting. And now, Now women said, I can fight just like a man. Arr! And guess what? You might get your chance. You might get your chance. If this administration implements the draft, don't get mad. This has been on the books for a long time. He just might be the first president to actually push it. But it's been out there for a minute. Anybody in the military know what I'm talking about? So what I'm saying, ladies, is we probably bit off a little, well, not us, but the women before us that embraced the feminist movement, they didn't think all of this through. And now this is all catching up to us, and this is why you have a large amount of women pushing back on this, saying we want to go back in the home. And hey, I'm saying, hey, let's get you ready. You can't go in there with that culture all over you, talking like the culture, and he needs to make this amount of money in order for me. Okay, that sounds like the culture, right? He needs to do all of this. That sounds like the culture. All that culture talk, that won't work. He will absolutely push back against that. When they say men have all the power, no, rich men have all the power. Rich men, shout out to the rich men, but it's the elite men that have all the power. The regular guys out here have enough to put you in a house and buy you a car. What else do you need? A couple of vacations a year. Okay, if you can get off of work, some of them will take you out. They'll take the kids to Disneyland and take you to the mountains and where else you want to go. What? Okay. Well, he needs to be able to take me to Paris. Do you not have a job now? You can take yourself to Paris. What are we talking about? Some of you have great jobs. Why aren't you going to Kilimanjaro? Why aren't you going to say Johannesburg? Why aren't you going to Sydney? That's on my bucket list, by the way, is Australia. Why aren't you going to Tokyo right now? Take yourself to Tokyo. Some of these things that you are asking for your husband, keep in mind, you're trying to raise a family. Some of that stuff isn't conducive for children anyway. And the men hear it and they're like, I'm not signing up for that. I can buy her a house and I can buy her a car. And what else does she need? You need Gucci to sit at the house? Yes, Miss Nicole, I need designer, everything. Okay, well, good luck with that. There will be some men that will be able to do that. But the majority of men out here can buy you nice things. It won't be the top of the line luxury, but he can buy you nice things. The culture makes you believe everything a man says that doesn't have to do with designer and luxury upscale. He's broke, he's dusty, and you move on. Girl, get ready to work the rest of your life. Get ready to work. Work. And get that job done. Girl, hit those bricks. I'm not trying to throw shade, but you professional women, you ladies are already traveling, so I'm not talking to you about that. You ladies are already traveling. If you see a place you want to go, you buy a ticket and you go, right? All right. You want to go to Vancouver for the weekend, you do it. You want to go to Seattle's on my bucket list. It's my husband's old stomping ground. You want to go to Seattle, you pick up and you go. You don't wait for a man to take you anywhere. You get up and go. When you get married, though, now everything becomes a family thing. And the culture has conditioned women that everything outside of upscale and luxury and it's dusty, it's broke, it's all or nothing. And the men are like, I'm not signing up for that. I'm not signing up for that. This is why you need the Future Wives Club, so that you can prepare for these conversations. But they'll say men have all. No, men do not have all the power. Patriarchy does not run in. It's the elite, the top 1% run everything. They have all the power. The average dude out here, he's below a pretty woman. The average woman out here doesn't have as much power and pull as a pretty woman. And we all know it. If we are honest with ourselves, the average dude out here has no more power in society than a pretty woman. Be honest with yourself. A few men have the power, not all. Poor men or just regular guys out here, they have no social status. They have no respect. They have no woman that loves them because they've been rejected. They have no kids. They get no sympathy from society. None whatsoever. They look at you like, what's wrong with you? Keep pursuing these women that don't want you. And the men are like, why? They told me I should be able to buy a house and buy a car for my wife and raise kids. I have money to do that. But she wants me to have a mansion. And she wants to go travel 3 and 4 times a year. Any professional man will tell you that's not even conducive most of the time to travel 3, 4, 5 vacations a year. Unless he's independently wealthy. That's not even logistically, especially unless you're homeschooling. Most kids have school. They get Christmas break and they get summer break and they get spring break. That's 3 times. Most families don't travel more than that. And sometimes their family comes to them. So they're not traveling then. But the culture has women thinking if it's not that, then it's this. If it's not upscale, luxury, that, then it's poor, broke, struggle. And that's where a lot of women are going to end up alone. Professional women, you're not looking for him to pay all of your bills. You're looking for him to show up. And there are men that if you speak to them the right way and not like the culture, they will absolutely let you walk away from your job. I have clients as proof. I have clients as proof that I let them know this is what you say to that man. And he absolutely said, okay, go ahead. Put in your notice. Once we get married, you'll be at home. Takes a housewife to make one. Hating patriarchy is evil. And men have all the power. Right. Patriarchy is evil. Men have all the power. I get it. Most men are far below women socially, and we know this. Attractive women are just up under a powerful man in terms of power in the society. So what I'm saying, ladies, is if being a full-time homemaker is what you want to do, then let's do it. Let's work it out. Let's work out those internal conflicts that you have. Maybe in your 20s, your internal conflict was you want to be You want to prove yourself. You want to prove that you're capable of something. You want to prove that you're independent. You want to prove that your effort mattered. You want to prove that you can stand on your own in your 20s. And then you may not want to be a full time homemaker in your 20s because these are some of the questions going through your mind. Am I giving up too early? Will people think I lack ambition? What happens if this relationship fails? What happens if he leaves me? Will I regret not building my career first? Do I actually want homemaking or do I just want escape from work stress? These are the questions that's going on through your heads in your 20s. In your 30s, right? If you're still single, you're thinking about career growth. You're thinking about the possibility of never getting married. You're thinking about what your husband demands of you. Will it be more than what you've been doing your whole life? Then you're thinking about parenting. You're thinking about fertility concerns in your 30s. You're thinking about home ownership. You're thinking about caregiving for children, right? You're thinking about your mental load and overload. And in many cases, you're thinking about family members that are still tagging behind you, holding on, right? They need you. And some of the questions going through your head in your 30s is, I worked so hard to build this career. Why does success feel like constant depletion? Can I afford to step out of my career right now? Will I lose myself if I become mostly needed for others? Can my marriage handle the financial and power shift? Am I choosing family or am I surrendering to my burnout? But then in your 40s, you have other things going on. Shout out to my ladies in the 40s. This is what was going on, my inner dialogue. You built a respectful career. You raised children part way, or you're done, or you're substantially, right? You supported a household for years. Maybe you supported your family members, right? You've experienced burnout, disillusionment, or success that did not satisfy. That was me. I was getting up, going to work every day with my designer clothes, my heels, my pencil skirts. And then I would come home to an empty house, eat leftovers, eat out. I went out with this look in my eyes like, I'm so tired of being single. What's going on with me? A lot of times it's not that you're dating a whole bunch of people. Sometimes it's just you're just frustrated. You're ready to get married already, and it's not coming together like you thought it would. And in my 40s, I'm like, I'm not supposed to be single in my 40s. What's going on? That wasn't part of my overall plan. So some of the questions I had going through my mind, and maybe you have going through yours right now, is, have I outgrown this career? Do I still need to prove myself? Will I become irrelevant if I step away? What is my purpose if I'm no longer career driven? If I'm just a wife and a mother, how am I important? Do I get the headline on a meeting or a webinar or a conference if I'm just a wife and a mother? Like, a lot of women are having these conversations about that. Do I want homemaking or do I just want to rest and reinvent myself? These are legit questions, ladies, and it doesn't hurt to stop and ask yourself these questions. And sometimes you're considering being a homemaker. We're wrapping it up here. Is emotional reasons. You have burnout, overstimulation. You have a desire for peace, desire for greater presence. You're longing for a slower life, wanting home to feel stable rather than rushed. And then you have other reasons that are rational. You're wanting to invest in marriage. You want to be a mother. You want to parent more intentionally. You want a stronger family rhythm. You want to reduce your stress on the household system. And then it could be your identity. You want to redefine success. Success is not just in corporate world. It's at home too. Nothing makes me feel joy is to have my daughter burst in the house with her laundry, doing laundry, because she knows home is home. She feels home, and she's responsible. She has a job. She can take care of herself. That's success. I raised a responsible adult that can contribute to society. That's important too. Rejecting hustle culture. You know, if I tell people that I want to be a full-time homemaker, will they reject me? Will they talk about me? Will they put me down? Inflexible jobs. You've been on this job so long that you're like, well, is it possible that I can um, intermix this into my new marriage? How can I walk away from it? What does it look like if things, choosing values over prestige, wanting a life that feels embodied and human, not just efficient? And then you have practical reasons. You have childcare cost. Raising children is not cheap. Okay? Raising children is not cheap. And flexible jobs. Commute burden, especially if you live in these big cities. This is why I champion middle-sized cities. Get out of these big cities. Women push back on me. I said this in another platform. I said, you all live in these densely populated areas like New York, Detroit, Chicago. Shout out to DC. Shout out to Miami, Atlanta, Houston, Dallas, LA, Seattle, Portland, Phoenix, Denver. You live in these densely populated big cities, and guess what? You're stressed out because of the commute. Charlotte, right? You have a commute that for days. Nashville, it used to be a little small little country town. Now look at Nashville. Look at it. I saw the airport. I was like, good Lord. And they were building that airport years before the people came. But look at it. They saw the writing on the wall. They knew people would start moving into. What about these mid-sized cities? Chattanooga. What's a mid-sized city? Cincinnati used to be large. It's middle-sized. Kansas City, Tulsa. They're building Tulsa back up. What about those mid-sized cities? The Triangle, Raleigh. Raleigh's becoming big time now. What's another mid-sized city? Tampa before it gets too big. Jacksonville before it gets too big. What's another decent sized city? San Antonio is kind of big city to me. Another mid-sized city would be like mid to small would be Waco, Texas. I'm trying to think. San Marcos. I love San Marcos. It's on the way to San Antonio. Austin. I just love Texas. I have a lot of family in Texas. Probably every city in Texas I have family. Albuquerque is kind of on the expensive side, but you're getting what I'm saying here. Are you ladies getting what I'm putting down here? That you and your husband, especially the way these corporations are redoing their companies, restructuring their companies. A lot of you all can live in smaller towns, more affordable towns, because a lot of married people are struggling because you're trying to live like you're single. All right. Single people live in large populated urban centers. Families live in suburbs. It's nothing better for me than when we take a Sunday drive and just drive through the countryside and we see these large houses that are in competition. I've seen houses here in Ohio that rival DC, that rival LA. They rival some of these other places, and they're in Ohio, the last place you would think they would be. Why? Because a lot of people are smart. They took their money and they figured they'd get more bang for their buck in upstate New York and Vermont and some of those other places than they would in New York City proper. And they said, we just want to raise the kids. Who's to say they don't want to move back? The large urban centers are for single people. I told my daughter, now's the time to move downtown. Now's the time to get that loft and to get and travel. If you want to go overseas, she talked about she want to go overseas to do missionary work or do something. I said, go. I said, I'll cry and I'll send you letters every day and I'll send you emails all the time and I'll call you 24/7 because that's what I do. I'm that kind of mom. I'll do that. I'll cry. I'll do the guilt trip to you, like, why are you leaving your mom? But at the end of the day, I can't hold you back. You're grown. You're a woman. Go, go, go. All of the stuff that I told you all in the last video about the things I wish I had done in my 20s, I'm telling her, go. Live. You want to go down there to excavation digs and archaeological do it. Go. Go. Live life. Do some exploration travel. At 23, I was married and had babies. And I'm telling her, you're young, go. Go. You have time. I don't want to say you have plenty of time because that would be a stretch. But what I'm telling her is Go accomplish some things. Go live some life. Life is more complicated than just get married at 21 and have kids. And so people say, "Oh, you sound feminine." No, I don't. I'm not saying forego marriage. I'm saying until marriage happens, go live life. That's what I'm saying. I'm not saying go and have a bunch of babies out of wedlock. That's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying go and have every man touching on you. That's not what I'm saying. That's what you heard. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that the world is more complicated than women getting married at 21, 22, and 23. If she's ready for that, go for it. But a lot of women are not ready for that. They have a lot of skills. They have a lot of things, and they need to go out and find who they are as a woman and come into who they are as a woman before they start sitting down having a whole bunch of babies that they're later going to regret. You all stop listening to these podcasters tell you you need to get married and have a baby at 21 and marry an old man that's 45 years old. Now he's lived his whole life and now he wants to take your life away from you because he wants a young woman. You go listen to that if you want to. And then in 10 years you'll be miserable, stuck in the house with this old man you have to take care of and babies you have to take care of and any extended family you have to take care of because he wants to marry a young woman. So now he's 65 years old and you have these babies and all of it. You listen to that if you want to. I'm telling you, I've already told you the strategy, the formula, the age formula. I've already discussed that. If you're in the Future Wives Club, we talk about that. I'm not going to discuss the formula here. But there's a formula to it, the age formula. And these people will tell you to marry a man that's 20 or 30 years older than you and pump you full of babies and you haven't lived life and all you know is him and children. Well, that would have worked 50 years ago. But this is a more complicated. You have women going to the moon and you sitting here telling her to get married and have babies at 22. I did at 23. And we had this conversation last live. So if you want to hear my story about that, go listen to the last live last week. The best age. Go listen to that video. What I'm telling women is that don't waste your whole life. Don't do your whole 20s doing that and your whole 30s. I'm saying while you're doing that, prepare to be a wife. Because at any point you can meet your husband. That's what I'm saying. So while you're on the African safari, you might meet your husband on the African safari. Be open to it. But I'm saying if you want to do the African safari, go do the African safari. That's why women put so much pressure on men to take them places. Because if you're telling them at 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, they need to be getting married, then that means you need to be taking her to the African safari. You need to take her to Paris. You need to take her to London, and you need to do it every year. Because those are the things she would have been doing had she not been married. But now that she's married and had babies, you better put her on that plane and board. Hey, I have no problems with a man that says, if I marry a woman in her 20s, and I take her off the market in the 20s, I'm not going to put her in a house full of babies and she will not be able to get out and see the world. I absolutely will take her. I have it. I have the means to take her across this world and give her and show her the world. If you can do that, I will shut my mouth. But most men cannot. They're just yelling and screaming at women to get married and before she lives life and even knows who she is as a woman. That's what I talked about last week was the perfect scenario. The perfect scenario is that she's prepared in her early 20s. But a lot of women had a difficult journey and they're not ready to be a wife at 21, 22, 23. So yeah, you're ready to lay up with her, but you're not ready to make her a wife and you're not ready to be a husband to her because she still has growing up to do. And that's a very strong statement to say, but it's a very real thing to say. And I'm not going to tell these women to get married before they're ready. I'm going to say, while you're living life and experiencing things, traveling and working at corporate America and going to school and getting those degrees, you can still prepare to be a wife. That's what I'm saying. And so she may meet you in a master's degree class or PhD dissertation. She might meet you in that space. She might meet you in a seminar. She might meet you at a workshop. She might meet you at church. She might meet you in first class seated on a plane. Wherever the case may be, I'm telling her to get ready. Get ready now. Get prepared now. Don't wait until you late 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s to decide to prepare to be a wife. Do it now. And if you're listening to me now going up, I didn't do that in my 20s, Start doing it now. Do it now. Do it now. Do it now. Get the good girl method, the fun girl rehab, and do it now so that when you have these conversations with men, you know how to communicate your journey to him. Not sound like the culture. Yeah, I did it and da da da. That's not going to make him want to make you his wife. You've got to be able to communicate your journey in a way that he can receive it and go, okay, all right, cool. Men are not that difficult. They can be, but they're not that difficult. The way the culture makes men so difficult and so hard and so, please. Men are not that difficult. They have um, they have requirements like everybody else. So that's all I wanted to say. If anybody have questions or concerns, I just really wanted to hit on those points. That being a full time homemaker, it has its drawbacks. Yeah, if you are a worker bee, you are a corporate baddie, you might want to consider how you want to be a full time homemaker. Do you just want to be a full time homemaker when the children are small and you want to return back to the office once the children are in school? Do you want to be a a, uh, a homeschooler, or you may want to be do a community co-op where you kind of pitch in with the other mothers of the community. A lot of women that are homemakers are involved in the communities. One of my other clients, she's joining the junior league. Her husband is very prominent in the community. Shout out to brother Kevin. He's prominent in the community and he needs a wife that understands the assignment. And of course she understands the assignment because she came through my program. I will not have her unprepared to hit that community like no other. She will have a following. She will be revered and respected throughout that community. People are going to love her. Yes, Ivana. Yes, they're going to be ready for you. They're going to be ready for you. Not only does she play golf in the afternoon while everybody else is at work gritting their teeth, she's out on the golf course looking cute, taking pictures for the gram. That's what kind of culture we have in our Future Wives Club. That's if you want it. If you don't and you want to figure it out, that's fine. I love you too, girl. I love it. I love your photos. Shout out to my other ladies. I pop up on you all's feed and I see you all. She has the aesthetic. Another girl, she has the socialite aesthetic. I'm getting them ready, baby, because that's her life. She's getting ready for that life. And I say, let's get you ready for it. These ladies are rising to the occasion. They're not listening and waiting on other people to figure it out. They've already decided what they want. You got married at the same age as my mom, but you're way more encouraging about living life in a meaningful way. Yeah, I my only regret at my 20s is that I didn't do more exploration travel because I got married at 23, obviously. But the traveling that I did in my 30s was more escape. Ooh, I got to get away. I got to get on the beach and relax. Right? I had children by that time. I was divorcee. So my travel was mostly escaping. And I wish I did more exploration travel. I wanted to go to Europe and a lot of places where I can do a lot of exploration travel, not just escape travel, the beach and that nothing's wrong with that. I'm not knocking that. I'm just saying I wish I had done more because I'm going to drag my husband to some of these places. Exploration travel because a lot of these places he's been before, but drag him back. Let's go back. Right? There's a lot of places in the U.S. that I want to go to that people don't talk about a lot. I'm one of those travelers. It does not have to be a popular destination spot for me to make it hot. It's just me. You join in the junior league and the Rotary Club? Absolutely. These are. I like to go to places that are fun. Like I want to drive down Route 66 if it's still there and take pictures and memorable things like that. I want to go to Paris, not just to say I've gone to Paris, but I just want to immerse myself in the culture. These are the things I want women to do. I've been to Paris, but I want to go and immerse myself in the culture, not just stay in the hotel or eat at the restaurants. That's fun. Been there, done that, but I also want to go into culture. I want to go and take a cooking class in France just to say I did it, but just for the experience and the ambiance. I'm going to go to a real French cafe during happy hour. Just to experience that, immerse myself in the culture like I do in New York from time to time. I want to do that, right? And I want to teach the young women that if some of this stuff you do before you get married, you bring so much vivaciousness and life to your marriage that he would be blessed to have you in his life. And guess what? You can pass that on to your children. The traveling doesn't stop just because you have children. If when you're a homemaker with children, yes, the children are the focus while they're growing up. But my husband and I, we don't have children. My baby girl just moved out not too long ago, so it's just us. We're empty nesters, so to speak. So we can get up one Friday and just go somewhere if we want to. That's the beautiful part of it. You get to curate your own life. There's not some one way to live a life now. As full-time homemakers, you can absolutely have your own business. I teach the women in the Future Wives Club that not only can you run your home and be the domestic CEO, but you can actually start a business. It could be a little side hustle, as we call it. It could be something you do for fun or something that generates money. That could be your hair, your nail money. That could be your vacation money. That could be your extra little money that you don't want to ask the hubby for. All kinds of things. That could be you and your husband's emergency money. Right? Being a full-time homemaker doesn't mean you rely on your husband for every single thing. Yes, he pays all of the bills, but you still have your little honey pot, your little money pot that you can put money in, your little stash. Hey, you want to go out and get the shoes and you don't want to ask your husband for money for the shoes. You may not. Sometimes you just want to just do it for yourself because you can. Do it. A lot of women that are full-time homemakers have little businesses that they've started, especially with AI now. It's so many ways to make money, child. These women sitting at home broke, that's because they want to be sitting at home broke, depending on a man 100%. As long as he's paying the bills, which that's what your husband does. He's paying all of the bills. There's nothing wrong with you making a little pocket money. There's nothing wrong with you buying your own little purse. Why can't you buy your own handbag and shoes? You have your little business. Some of you have started businesses before you got married, and now you keep it. Same with me. I had a business before I got married, and my husband said as long as the inner beauty movement does not come in between our marriage, it's good to go. You're good to go. And I don't need your help. I can cover the bills. I don't need your help. He looked at that as an affront on his masculinity to say, I need to pay a bill. He's insulted. He's insulted. If I said to pay, he's like, I got it. What good is the soft life if I have you worrying about bills? I think I fell in love with him all over again when he said that. He said to me, what good is the soft life if you're worried about bills? That's the piece that defeats the purpose of me being here if you're worried about bills. Gotta love my husband. I love my husband. I love my husband. No way, shape, or form will I let anybody talk to him crazy. I won't talk to him crazy. You won't talk to him. Nobody talks to my husband crazy. That man is special. And it's a lot of men out there like that. Don't think, oh, Nicole, she got a good one. It's a whole lot of men out there like that. They're laying dormant because they don't want to be misused and abused, because they're afraid that they're going to get a woman that's not going to appreciate his love, not going to appreciate his contribution, and they're going to hurt him. And so they just lay dormant. They just sit online. They just watch women. They don't ask a bunch of women out on dates. Why? Because they feel like she's going to reject me. I don't make enough money, or I don't do this and I don't do that. And then sometimes I talk to them and I'm like, you're not ugly. Why don't you have a woman? Or you're not ugly. What's going on? And they play games with me. They don't want me. They say I don't make enough money. They this and I'm that. And I'm like, that's crazy. Of course, it's a little bit more nuanced than that, and we'll get into that in another stream. But ladies, don't buy into that hype. Look, being a full-time homemaker, 50% is that 50% of that is the man, but 50% of that is you. And a lot of women don't even have the mentality of a full-time homemaker because you don't put the family first. Right? And a lot of women think, well, I help raise my brothers and sisters. That's a good start. Well, I still see about my family members. That's a good start. I'm still the responsible one. That's a good start. And you have skill sets that are great in the boardroom, they're great in the corporations, but we need to learn how to become a homemaker and how to communicate what kind of wife you plan to be with your husband. That's what the Future Wives Club does, because we are counterculture. And I don't care about being popular. I don't care about going viral. I care about the lives that I've helped. I love scrolling down my Instagram and seeing the women that I've helped get into the life that they're now living. I love seeing Ivana cheesing every day and showing off her gifts from her husband that he spoils her. I love showing all of my other clients going to galas and balls and charity functions, and where they used to think that world was kept from them, now they're going. That's the equivalent of me going viral. That's what I get off on. I love that. I'm like, look, baby, look at my client, look at her. Oh, I'm so proud, like a proud mother. I'm like, oh, look at her. She looks so beautiful. Like, I brag about my clients all the time. Look at my client. Look at her at the mayor's ball. Look at her going to the gala. Look at her going to the charity ball. You better go, girl. One of my clients, her aesthetic is next level. Like, she did a post the other day. I said, girl, look at that flat stomach on yo and that pretty face. Look, the women in the inner beauty movement, we're no slouches. We're no slouches. We're beautiful over here. The waistline, the face card, all of it is on point. So if that's something that you want to be a part of, hit that link and the pin linked at the top. For the first time since I've opened up Future Wives Club, you don't have to purchase a course to get in. You can just come right on in. It is a monthly subscription. You can cancel at any time. And we have Blindspot to Bride for those of you that are still trying to figure out what is going on. Why aren't these men taking it to the next level? Why am I struggling getting dates? Why aren't men asking me out? Baby, you need to blind spot the bride. Let's get to the bottom of it. It's a quick program. It won't even be long. And it's going to help you discover, instead of me telling you what your problem is, I'm going to help you discover that on your own through the program. I'm going to take you through the process. And at the end of the process, you're going to know exactly what's keeping you from getting the man, the marriage that you desire. And also, the good girl method is for those ladies who feel like being a good woman is keeping you from the life. No, it's not. You need to be reminded of how special you are. And for those of you who feel like, I'm not a good girl, yes, you are. You need the good girl method. By the time you get out of that, you will be, girl. The Fun Girl Rehab, even if you don't need the Fun Girl Rehab, I think it's fun to go through it. I told all the future wives to go through the Fun Girl Rehab. It's good information to know. Jesus is a redeemer, and he doesn't beat up on us like the world does. That's the world that tells us that you made a mistake and that'll forever and amen be who you are. Jesus is not like that. Jesus is a redeemer. Like the woman at the well, he said, look, I'm not here to beat you up. I came to save you. So listen, the Fun Girl Rehab is all about Jesus' love and letting you know that, okay, you made some missteps and maybe you made some hiccups in life. Haven't we all? And I'm helping women that want to be married specifically how to take those hiccups and turn them into lessons. And you will be so fabulous that when men meet you, they'll, what? You did what? I can't even believe it. That's funny. I can't even believe it. But you have to be able to communicate your journey to men in a way that they, not all of this fancy talk, seductive talk, manipulative talk, game playing talk, heavy-handed talk, my degrees, my this and that. All of that stuff pushes men away. We've been telling you all this for 25 years now. And now the men are closing their wallets and they're closing their time. And man, it's about to get bad out here. And we're going to talk about that. I might do that next week or the week after. I'm not sure. Because I have a banger for next week. But maybe we need to talk about how these men are pushing back and how to get them back in pocket, as they say. Men are not going back in pocket. How do we get men to cooperate with us? Simple thing. We need to cooperate with them. How do we cooperate with men? Gotta tune in and I'll tell you. The Feminine Elite Society app, ladies. This is my crown jewel. I love this. I love my baby. The app, I finally have it looking the way I want it to look, and we're still doing upgrades, constantly upgrading it. And if you wanted an online finishing school that doesn't gatekeep, when I tell you we're hitting all cylinders on it, for those of you that want to, you're professional and one of your concerns is how do you move, like you move well in the corporate space but you may struggle socially, or you want to be around men and you want to understand the landscape of society. For some of you, you may be new to the United States. You may not understand how things work a little bit when it comes to upward mobility and understanding society, understanding the things. It's all of that. All of that is, you have a home on the app. We cover a lot of things. Some of you can download it. You can see some of the topics. We have strategy. Some of you asked me about dating strategy for the app. We have that. We also have a style and image. We have the finishing school, and part of that is etiquette, social etiquette, the whole list. I won't go all through that. But you also have daily affirmations and declarations. We have all of that available on Apple and Google. That's my crown jewel. I have been wanting to do this for years now. And when I started the app, I just threw a lot of miscellaneous content that I wanted to do onto the app. And it really was just, it didn't have an organized theme, and now it has an organized theme the way I want it to be, and I'm happy with it. I'm finally happy with it. I just dropped some new content over the weekend, so you ladies dive in. Future Wives Club constantly getting information there. The Future Wives Club has an upcoming masterclass on the overlooked man, which is 80% of men out here feel like they're overlooked. They feel like most of the women, and I'm closing now, most of the women out here are only going for 20% of the guys, and 80% of the men are being rejected. That's a lot of men. And a lot of men are checking out of dating and marriage. So, ladies, how do we engage these men? Well, I'm going to tell you which ones you can engage and which men are lost cause. And I'm going to tell you how to engage them. And it will not be the way you think it is. Because they're out there. Some of them still are craving love from a woman that they are crazy about and that they love and they're attracted to. They are looking for that woman. They are waiting for that woman to walk into his life. But sometimes they look the same. The man that's checked all the way out and the man that's still holding on by a shoestring, by dental floss. Sometimes they look alike. I'm going to help you identify which one they are, because listen, a lot of your husbands are going to be in that 80%. Nicola, you're saying my husband's going to be ugly? No, I'm saying he's not going to be in the 20%, because a lot of those men in the 80% are not ugly. And they can buy you a house today, but you won't give him a shot because he's not in the 20%. I'm just saying, some of your husbands are in the 80%. Some of you may get 20%. Your husband in the top 20%. He may not. You have to be prepared. He might be in the 80%. Because some of us are in the 80%. Some of us are not the 20% chosen. We're not. And that hurts. It hurts. It stings a little bit to not know that there's a population of men that wouldn't choose us. That kind of hurts a little bit. But the fact of the matter is that 80% of guys, those are the guys in the club. Those were the guys buying drinks. Those were the guys sending you text messages that you never replied to. Those were the guys that you were like, yeah, I'll pass. Those guys are checking all the way out. But here's the thing. A lot of those guys were the husbands. And a lot of women are disenfranchised because they feel like those guys are not being fair and they're jaded. And no, they're just checked out. And in the Future Wives Club, in our master class, I think it's going to be either Sunday or it just might be a regular, it might be Sunday. But I will cover that. And it may be, I may drop that in Patreon too. I might, if you're in Patreon. It will be about the overlooked man. Which ones are hanging on by dental floss, and you may be able to pull him back and have something substantial with him, and then the men that have completely checked out. There's a difference. There's a difference. And when I tell you a lot of your traditional husbands are in that 80%, I'm not lying to you. I told you, I broke down the guy A, guy B, and guy C, and how the most desirable men, those are the ones that will never give you what you ask for. Go back and watch those old lives from 2 seasons ago where I talk about the most desirable guys and the guys when I break those down. Go back and watch those. It's been fun. I don't see any questions. Oh, she says, you like an angel mother, Naomi. She says, you have really helped me secure the life we prayed for. I'm so happy for you. When I tell you, ladies, this woman is the definition of soft wife life. She is. That's what I'm preparing you ladies for, the soft wife life. It absolutely exists, and don't let people tell you otherwise. But I couldn't help her do that if I didn't already have it. Understand? It takes somebody that's living it to help you get it. Not somebody selling you fantasies. No, baby, I actually live this. No fantasies. You still have to clean. You still have to cook. You still have to take care of your man. But it all pays out, baby. It all pays off because of the love he gives you in return. It's not a transaction. It's a guy that loves you and wants to see you happy, and you want to see him happy. This isn't transactional. This is beautiful. This is love. The old school type of love. It absolutely exists. And I also tell you in the husband archetype masterclass which husbands are more likely to be traditional and the men that aren't. And some women are barking up the wrong tree, wasting time because he'll never be traditional. Join the Future Wives Club where I break it all down. No gatekeeping. I can't say all of this stuff on YouTube because it just doesn't belong here. It belongs in a very contained place with women that understand what I'm talking about. And understand and willing to prepare to be wives. So shout out to all of my clients on Instagram. I pop in and I see you ladies. They are preparing for the life that they desire. They are preparing for the husband that they want. And you can't be mad at that. You can't be mad at that. All right, ladies. Until the next time, I will see you next week. Same time, same bat channel, 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Spread the word. Spread these lives. Let people know if you're ready to become a wife. This is the last stop shop. No finger wagging. No fussing. No jumping down your throats. No judgment. Just preparation. Let's do it. I'll see you next time. Remember, I love you and Jesus Christ loves you. And until the next time.